So who are you and what do you do in your position?
So I'm Karla Fant, and I work currently at Portland State University teaching computer science. I've worked there since 1991 and teaching the freshman and sophomore for the most part, introductory programming classes. I'm really excited about those. But prior to this, I did have an industry career. And I am a computer scientist, so my degree is in computer science.
So what was that kind of pathway that you took from like computer science in college through to where you are now?
Yeah, so I graduated from college with a bachelor's in computer science, and I had lots and lots of opportunities all around the country to go to different, jobs. And I really wanted to come up here to Oregon because I love the trees and the outdoors, and it was just a wonderful, place to be able to be close to family and still work. So I actually started working at Tektronix, and my area of expertise is actually high resolution computer graphics. So that's what I did all my projects in college, sorry. And so Tektronix was a really good fit because they originally were doing things in the computer field that were vector displays, and they wanted to get into raster displays where you have pixels on the screen. And so they were hardware and firmware engineers. I'm a software engineer. And so, I was part of the team developing the wave of graphics terminals that Tektronix was working on. But I soon found that I really loved small companies. And so I ventured off, a whole group of us left Tektronix to various small companies. And so I ended up working at Metheus Corporation for most of my industry experience. We were the very first in the world to develop 1280 by 1024 display controller. So when you go and buy, a computer and you're saying, oh, it's got this kind of resolution, 1280 by 1024. Well, we were the very first in the world to develop the hardware, software, microcode to manage that resolution. So not the monitor itself. We weren't monitor manufacturers, right. But we developed, that hardware that controlled it. This is sort of prior to the days of personal computers. Right. So these were much larger boxes. And then we were the first in the world to develop a 2K by 2K. We were working with the FAA. They were using these little pieces of paper to manage where all the airplanes were. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't even believe this. We should be far beyond that. Right. And so we were part of that team to develop their electronic workstations. Okay. And they really wanted really high res. So 2K by 2K at that point was really high resolution. And then we were the very first in the world. We did the F-15 flight simulator that the pilots used to train on. So a lot of military kind of applications. It was a really great career. I got to work a lot with customers. I got to become a vice president of engineering and a director of marketing.
Wow.
Along the way. So it was really fun. I enjoyed it a lot. We ended up getting bought out by the government of Singapore. So
of all things.
they trained their engineers and they took our technology, and a small group went and sort of built their own company from Metheus to sort of be the support team, to support the technology that was out there in all of these different endeavors. I moved on to teaching at Portland State. So,
okay. So what does your sort of job look like now? Like, what do you do in a daily thing? Or like, maybe it makes more sense to talk about in terms of like different times in the term, but what does your job look like?
Yeah, so I teach hundreds of students. So every term I have between 300 and 500 students in 3 different classes. So I teach 3 classes a term. And so, the idea is I'm really motivated to have people learn about computer science. So this is one reason I teach freshmen and sophomore, because I think it's really important for everyone to sort of see how exciting this field really is, and that anybody can really do it. there, I suppose, were lots of barriers for me, but I don't know. I wanted to solve problems, and here I am. I mean, I became a computer scientist when maybe there weren't that many women doing it, but that I didn't really think about it at the time. It was just something that seemed to make sense for me to do at the time that I was doing it. So I really want people to see that this can be really exciting. It doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't have to be this thing where, oh, I have to read this book and slog through it, or, oh my gosh, I have to be this person that only talks computerese and, isn't a regular person. I'm a regular person. I do glass art. I do a lot of other things besides, sitting at my keyboard. Actually, I have like 10 of these keyboards around me, so I don't know about that. I'm a computer geek somewhere in all of that. But the point is, this is really achievable if you're willing to apply yourself. So if this is something that's interesting to you, if it's not interesting, then okay, it doesn't make sense. But if it's interesting, I want to catch that and build that excitement. So in terms of what I do, I am really a big advocate of talking. So I come and I talk and I show people how exciting this is, and I'll program in front of them and show them what they can do with their code. And so that's how we begin in the classes. And then of course, it's really important to achieve certain milestones in each class, because I sort of see computer science in the freshman level sort of building foundation layers of learning. And so this is not like a science class where you read the book or you experience some labs and then you can forget about it at the end of the term, and then you take a different kind of science class. You never really have to apply it. The freshman level work in computer science is really, the foundation of your house. And if that foundation of your house is not solid, then, as you go on, things are just going to start collapsing. And so I really want to find a way that's exciting and interesting, but also builds quality. All right. I want you to be able to have a quality foundation so that when you move forward, it's like, oh yeah, I can do this next thing because this other thing is now easy for me. It was hard before, but now it's easy. And so I get a lot of students coming back to me in their sophomore, junior, even after they graduate, and say, hey, Carla, it was hard when I was going through this piece of it, but you know what? It's easy now. Or you know what? I'm using it in my job, and it's so great not to have to worry about this piece. So,
Right.
These are the things that I really strive for as I go through the term with people. Really trying to reach out. If you start falling behind, finding a way, okay, how do we make this work? We're all individuals. I may have 300 or 400 or even 500, that's my max, students, but I do get to know them, and I know when they're struggling. And if I don't, I hope that they'll come and talk to me so that we can find a way to make this work. I mean, it's hard sometimes to navigate a class, a teacher, I don't know them. They don't know me. How, something's happened in my life. I got sick. I got too busy. Something happened. I wasn't able to get my work done. Or maybe just talk to your teacher and work out, gee, what can we do to make this successful for you? Maybe you're not understanding a concept. So I really try hard throughout the term to reach out to people as much as I can and to encourage them to reach out to me. It's really not scary to talk to your teacher. I know it can be. I was really scared to talk to my teachers, but don't be. Really, really, really. It's something that's really important, so that, because in the end, why are we teaching? It's not for me.
Right.
I already know this stuff.
Right.
I'm doing it for you, for the students. And I want every term I find ways to work on my materials, to find a way, how can I make this more understandable or fewer barriers? So this term, for example, I decided I'm going to have a Discord channel. Okay.
Right.
So that's what we're going to do, because it seems like that's where everybody's gravitating. So I know we're not playing a game, but that's okay. Why not use Discord? And so, I can be available regardless of, oh, it's not your office hours, you can't come and talk to your teacher. That
Right.
doesn't make sense.
Right. That's actually something I've considered doing too. And once we can get rid of the legal barriers in high school, that's absolutely a great idea. Um, so if you were thinking about like the high school version of you, what kind of advice do you think you would have given yourself now that you've been able to go through this path? Like, what are the things that you wish you had known going forward?
So that's an interesting question. High school. Actually, for me, I liked my high school
Mhm.
pretty well. I was exceedingly shy. So if looking back, maybe I shouldn't have been so shy, but I'm not so sure that's something that you can control. So, I mean, it's crazy that I'm actually in front, usually waving my hands, but Zoom does not let me wave my hand. So I really try to avoid that because it causes all sorts of issues. But I'm running around the classroom, doing all sorts of stuff. I can't imagine I was so shy, so too shy to talk to my teachers really
Mhm.
um, in high school for the most part. But I had big dreams. And so this is what I would encourage you. If don't let yourself be limited. It's really up to you. It's this, and if you choose an area at first coming out of high school, like everybody has to have their decision made, it doesn't have to be your final decision, right? So I left high school wanting to be a world famous botanist. I love trees and the
Right.
outdoors, right? We talked about that. So
Right.
like, no, that was fine. I went to college to be a botanist. That is what I did. But I also took a lot of classes in high school. Now I think it was a really good thing. I took my math. I took I worked my math as far as you could take it. I didn't think I'd use my math, but I just kept taking it. So, I did my calculus in, high school. I did physics. Why? Well, I thought it was pretty cool. I took chemistry. I'm not so good at chemistry. So my mom was a chemist and my dad was an engineer. So I guess I had a lot of support from them to do, technical things. I also did a lot of music. I played the cello in high school. I played the flute, the alto clarinet, the bassoon. Anyway, most
Wow.
of the years were cello because it takes a lot of time to do cello. But so I'm walking around high school carrying a cello, by the way. So that was me. But when I went to college, I decided to keep doing the calculus and the physics. So I decided, even though these were not my degree, they were interesting to me. So I'm going to keep taking them. So instead of being limited by, oh, I'm only supposed to take these classes, I'm so glad I did because I ended up hating botany. I took it for my whole freshman year. And at the end, it's like, you have to memorize these plant names. It's like,
Right.
this is not what this brain is going to be good at doing. I cannot memorize plant names. It was like so annoying. But I was taking physics and calculus at the same time. And so I was like, oh, I'm not, I can become a math major. Didn't really want to be a math major, but at least I had a major.
Right. Right.
And then my physics teachers wanted me to become a physicist. And I was like, well, that's nice. But I wasn't really ready at that point to say I want to get a PhD.
Right.
I felt at that point I really wanted to experience life after college.
Right.
And so very business oriented. So I have a lot of my grandparents ran bowling alleys and stores, and my dad built his own business. He did the Seattle Space Needle. He's the structural engineer for that, and the
Wow.
Palm Springs Tramway, and all the Denny's in the world. But
A lot of
anyway,
genetics
so
in
a
there.
lot of business. So I really wanted to get out of college and make my way in the world. So anyway, I just couldn't see myself as a physicist. And then there was a computer class that I had to take for my math major.
Okay.
What was this? I didn't, this is in the dark ages, everyone, so it's like, there's
Fair
no,
enough.
there's no, personal computer. There's no cell phones, we didn't even have the big box cell phone yet.
Right.
So I had no experience with computers in high school. That was not a thing. I mean, people have such a great opportunity now to explore this early, which I didn't have that opportunity. I didn't get that until my sophomore year of college.
Okay. And then once you found that, that's when you switched over?
That was it. So I actually became a double major, math and computer science. I did not leave math. I decided I'd come that far, might as well stay, and I enjoyed math. So
I know that one of the other areas that you really focus on is really encouraging women in your program. I've heard that from actually some of your students. So would you mind like briefly like talking about that as a woman in computer science, like what sorts of things do you do for encouraging the girls in your program?
yeah, so I think it's really important to not feel like you are held back by artificial barriers. We are all, able to think and to solve problems. And if this is interesting to you, whether you're a woman or a minority, or feel like, your parents didn't have college degrees, and so, you feel like you're at a disadvantage, I don't think so. If you have an interest in problem solving, then the world is yours in the land of computer science. This is not really an area for a lot of memorization. Memorization doesn't really take you very far in computer science. It's really about, I have a problem, it hasn't been solved before, because it had, we could just use that code.
Right.
And I want to, solve this problem. Now there's different kinds of problems. Some are more difficult than others, of course. So, you could write the next game. That's a different kind of problem solving than it would be to do the software development for the space shuttle. It's right. So, there's all sorts of different development that needs to get done. But in terms of, some of the things that I do, I hire a lot of people to work with labs, to work with my students. And actually, most of the people I hire end up being women and minorities, not because I actually try to do that, by the way, because I'm equal, anybody that does well, but I find that people really want to work hard. They put themselves out there, and I want to absolutely support that. And so I will find any way I can to support that. And so it just turns out I have, some incredible women that work for me as technical course support specialists. And it's pretty exciting. And some of them have had some great opportunities to go to China to work with a university that we're partnered with in China, or to work with the high school students
That's
in
true.
challenge programs.
All right. Well, that was all the questions I have. Are there any other final thoughts you'd like to leave our high school students with?
Final thoughts. Well, just don't be discouraged. Go for it. Computer science is absolutely achievable. But also realize this isn't about just the money, right? So computer science isn't about, I'm going to go get rich. It's sure, there may be great paychecks with a computer science degree, as there are for lots of different degrees out there. But I think in any of them, that only happens when you're really motivated to apply yourself, regardless of the area. You have to decide, this is for me and I want to do it. And when you say, I want to do it, yeah, it may be a fast path, it may be slow. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how long it takes to get something. If you are saying, I really want this and I'm excited about it. For me, that's me. I'm thrilled about every day of working as a computer scientist. And that's what comes across, and that's what motivates people. Not because I'm actually sitting down planning to motivate people, but they see it through me. And hopefully you can find that thing that really motivates you, like this has motivated me.
All right. Well, thank you, Professor Fent. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome.